Hey, what's going on, everybody? Don Martino here from Extract Media, sitting here once again with Mr. Jose Espinel. We are bringing you all the coverage from Star Wars Celebration, or at least the big stuff, the big highlights. It's day 2, and we are going to talk about the Ahsoka panel. We just got done looking at all the reports and updates coming out of that. I'm very excited. Jose, how's it going today, sir?
Yeah, early morning today, but I'm excited to be here. There's some really exciting stuff to talk about.
Yes.
I'm glad that I woke up. It was worth it, and I'm just ready to get into this, honestly.
Yeah, we have some really great stuff coming out of this panel. I think a little bit more than I was expecting personally, and so that is perfect. I mean, it was definitely worth the early morning today. We're ready to go, though, and I cannot wait to get started here. Jose, let's just get started with this. I mean, number one, the first thing that just hit, it was very sentimental on just so many levels, is, you know, these images of, you know, Dave and George coming up with the concept for Ahsoka Tano in the first place back when they were kind of conceiving of Clone Wars. You know, that was pretty amazing to me. I mean, this is pretty awesome stuff, man. I mean, what do you think about that?
No, yeah, it's crazy to see, like, back then, how they used to just, like, sit down and, like, create characters together. And honestly, seeing George in that picture is really cool. It's very nostalgic almost. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you know, that does, like, to me, it shows like how much more meaningful this show is to Dave than pretty much anything else he's done in his career, because it is the culmination of everything that him and George created back in the day with the Clone Wars, and then leading into Dave's sort of conception of Rebels, you know, and it really is the culmination of all of it. Like, it was all kind of leading to this, and he gets this opportunity to give this live action version of all of these ideas that he's had over the years. And this was really amazing, and he's still rocking that cowboy hat back then, which I love to see. I mean, that was awesome. But, you know, still, man, that is pretty cool to think about, the fact that we are in a time period we get to witness this, you know what I mean? And Lucasfilm, so lucky, you know, in this time of divide in the fan base and everything, to me anyway, that Dave Filoni kind of had this little thing happening on the back burner called Rebels, right? And they kind of started to touch on this a little bit in the panel about how, like, you know, it really does take that extra bit of care because of that, you know what I mean? Because it's an opportunity that I'm sure even Dave Filoni, even back just in 2015, never thought he would have, to be able to do something like this.
Right.
But here we are 8 years later, and it's pretty amazing how people evolve. You know, we're seriously seeing somebody get promoted throughout the company, you know, with Dave Filoni, and this is pretty cool stuff. And I thought that was some of the strongest stuff in the panel personally, is just hearing Dave talk about all of that sentiment there. So that was awesome. But, you know, obviously next they had to bring out Rosario and Chopper. I love seeing Rosario Dawson, Ahsoka Tano herself. Seeing this iteration of Chopper, I mean, is obviously very exciting. Now, one of the things I didn't even think about myself that, like, Rosario had touched on, that I just thought was amazing, and just shows the dedication she has as an actor to this role. Like, she clearly loves this role. She had to learn to be, like, ambidextrous. She was kind of talking about that, you know, during the panel, and I thought that was pretty fascinating. And again, something I just hadn't thought of myself. But you really think about the stances of Ahsoka and the fighting style of Ahsoka, you do have to learn to be ambidextrous. I'm sorry, and it's fantastic that she has that sort of dedication to this role. Jose, what do you got on that?
Yeah, no, definitely, for sure. It's very, to me, it shows the dedication that she has for this character of Ahsoka, how much she actually likes playing the character of Ahsoka. So to see that she had to, you know, grind a lot to be ambidextrous is incredible, because you think about Ahsoka's fighting styles, it's like switches. She's very different with, you know, how she fights, you know, because she obviously has 2 lightsabers, so she has to fight in different styles and stuff. So Rosario Dawson learning, you know, how to fight with both arms and stuff it's really cool to see that she really cares about this character as much as she does.
Yeah, and just to run over something really quick, I mean, I thought it was awesome that, you know, they had the magistrate come out, you know, her talking about her loyalty to Grand Admiral Thrawn as well. That was awesome. They kind of talked about that 17-hour workday they had just doing that one fight scene alone. Crazy. In that episode of Mandalorian that kind of operated as our backdoor pilot to this series that we're about to get here. So that was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty meaningful as well. And then obviously we got Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Natasha Liu Bordizzo coming out. That's Hera and Sabine here, which was really fantastic to see them. Again, like I think I even look at Natasha there, it just embodies Sabine. And then you look at like this exclusive image that they kind of dropped here of Hera. It's like, man, Mary Elizabeth Winstead is unrecognizable as Hera. That was the first thing that struck me about this image, man. But it is Hera for sure, like without a doubt. And I'm so excited to see her take this one on personally. The fact that we live in a world where we get to see her as Hera is pretty exciting to me. I think that's a really awesome casting choice for sure, along with Sabine. And this image is great. We got to see this one yesterday, but I wanted to bring it back up just because it's like that embodies Sabine from the show right there. Right? That is straight out of the Rebels series to me. So that is awesome, man. I mean, I love Sabine so much, you know what I mean? So, you know, a lot of this that makes this exciting. I mean, you're talking about characters that are in my top 10 to 15 Star Wars characters coming into the show. You know, I mean, Ahsoka Tano is second alone, just right under Luke Skywalker for me. Sabine is in the top 15 for sure. I'm not sure exactly where, but she's definitely in the top 15. Thrawn is coming in the show. We'll get to Thrawn here in a little bit, but he's in my top 10. You know what I mean? Star Wars characters.
Yeah, for sure.
So like, there's.
Yeah.
I got some dreams coming true here, like not to sound corny, but it's true, man. I mean, this is awesome stuff that we're seeing out of this panel. But the other thing that just kind of really becomes fascinating are these two villains that we got to see, and that's Ivana Sacco and Ray Stevenson came out on stage to talk. I actually was not expecting them. I don't know why. I should have expected them, I think, but for whatever reason. But they did reveal that they are going to play characters named Baylan and Shin, and we got this like really nice exclusive image. And Baylan cherry picked straight out of Legends material, because we looked it up. I mean, he is an Old Republic character. That's intriguing to me, and the reason why is because it looks like from the Ahsoka trailer she's going to be playing within the world between worlds a little bit. That does kind of imply a little bit of time travel happening here, and I almost gotta wonder if this is a man out of time, you know, in a way. He is kind of this, even just judging by the color of that lightsaber that he had in the trailer, it looks like it's from another time. That's not the red lightsaber that we're used to. It's got an orangish hue to it. I don't know, Jose, what do you think of all this and you know, all this stuff that we're getting, and also, like, do you agree that he could be for a man out of time? I'll let you go ahead on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, just to say that, first off, that this show is going to be insane. I mean, like you said, these characters are ones that I've grown up with as well. Thrawn, Ahsoka, Sabine, I mean, it's great. I can't wait. These villains, I'm thinking it's either time travel or like he's in like different times. So like maybe the show kind of jumps between, like, you know, she's in like, in one episode she's in, you know, one time, and then in another episode she's like in another one, or like parts of the show happen in certain times and other parts of the show happen in other times, which would be really cool to see, because then that's when you can incorporate Hayden Christensen as Anakin, and stuff like that. So it's going to be really interesting to see like how this show plays out.
Yeah, and I want to jump off a couple points you made there, because number one of the things we could be seeing with that world between worlds, and again, this is speculation on my part, is, you know, the possibility maybe she is going into that world between worlds to save Anakin, and something goes wrong. Maybe she thinks that she could stop Anakin from turning to the dark side and becoming Vader in the first place. Maybe that's her sort of goal, and maybe something goes wrong. Obviously speculation there on my part. The other thing I wanted to touch on, and I'm going to bring this picture back up with Sabine, because, you know, you touched on, you know, just growing up with these characters to a degree, and you know, we now have the Mandalorian series, which is, you know, a big deal, and it's a lot of people's entry point, you know, to Mandalorian. But even before that, Sabine Wren was a lot of people's entry point to Mandalorian culture and all that, you know what I mean? A lot of the fans discovered the Mandalorian lore through this character Sabine, and I just find that to be so fascinating and awesome that, again, we are getting this in live action. This is actually being conceived of at this point, and we get to live to see that. It's pretty amazing stuff. Now, I mean, one of the biggest reveals that we had of the panel, and I am going to bring this up, is, you know, this list of directors here. which was awesome to see. I am excited about a few of these, I will at least say. I mean, Steph Green, did probably one of the better episodes of the Book of Boba Fett that wasn't a Mandalorian episode, so I did like her episode. I praised her a lot for that. I thought, her visual style and a lot of her unique style really worked for that. I could see that even working better for an Ahsoka type show, actually, than it did for a Boba Fett, to be honest with you. So that one actually excited me quite a bit. Then we had Peter Ramsey, who did the 5th episode of this season of The Mandalorian, and I thought he did a very good job with that. Honestly, that was one of the better Mandalorian episodes of the season, more entertaining ones. I'm really hoping that he can deliver here on this. Obviously, I did miss it, but Dave Filoni himself will also be a director on the series as well. He'll be that's almost a given, but yeah, he'll be directing probably a few episodes of this thing if I had to guess, just off the top of my head. We do have Jennifer Getzinger, who's kind of the newcomer here. She's definitely the most amateur one on the list. That doesn't mean she sucks or anything. I'm just saying that, not familiar with her work, it's hard to tell till we see her product. You know what I mean? So it's harder to be excited for that one. Geeta Patel, though, did direct some House of the Dragon episodes, so that's exciting. She's got experience in this type of television, so that really makes me excited. I think that she could really carry that skill forward to something like Ahsoka. So that's very exciting as well. And then Rick Famuyiwa not only has directed many Mandalorian episodes, but he pretty much got promoted recently. He is one of the executive producers on the show now, so that's fantastic. I'm happy that he's being carried over to this one. I do think he is one of the better Mandalorian directors. All of his episodes so far have been very consistent. I think he's done very consistent work with The Mandalorian. Also, important to note, Rick Famuyiwa will also be directing the last 2 episodes of The Mandalorian, so he's very experienced in The Mandalorian. So I'm very excited to have him on board for Ahsoka as well. I think this guy is just great. And then one that excited me even more, this was a huge bomb they dropped on us at this panel. The score is Kevin Kiner himself, the man that did Clone Wars and Rebels. And I've been dying for Kevin to get into something live action. And this is a really great way to bring him into something like Ahsoka. I think that the fact that they're getting somebody like Kiner, who does a perfect balance of the classic scores that John Williams had, but he also likes to bring in a little bit of his own in there and kind of make them more contemporary sounding. He's very good at that. It says a lot about what they're going for with the series, the tone. They want this to feel like George Lucas' Star Wars to a degree. You know what I mean? They want this to feel like a natural continuation of that. Otherwise, you don't get somebody like Kevin Kiner to do the score. Jose, directors, Kevin Kiner, the crew. I mean, what are you thinking here?
I mean, shit, where to begin? There's just so much that was dropped. I mean, I guess we'll start with the directors. I mean, obviously Dave Filoni, incredible director. I'm really excited to see what he does. I know he's going to do a great job with Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Steph Green, yeah. I mean, like you said, her episode of the Boba Fett was one of the better ones that didn't have the Mandalorian in it. Yeah. It was actually one of my favorites too. The newcomer, I mean, we don't really know anything about her. She's done maybe like 1 or 2 movies, but like
Jennifer Getzinger, yes.
Yeah, she's kind of the amateur newcomer, so I'm a little skeptical, but we'll see. Maybe they probably brought her on for a reason. Maybe they saw something in stuff that she's done in the past. Geeta Patel, of course, did episodes of House of the Dragon, so that's really excited. I'm actually really excited for her. Peter Ramsey, of course, again, also great director. Can't wait for his episodes. And of course, Rick from Famuyiwa.
I know it's a hard one. Rick Famuyiwa.
Yeah,
you got it.
Famuyiwa. Yeah. His episodes of Mandalorian are just phenomenal. So I know that he's gonna do incredible stuff for the Ahsoka series. I think I'm most excited for Geeta Patel's episodes, just because she's House of the Dragon, and it'll be really interesting to see what she brings to Star Wars.
Absolutely, yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's not as high of a caliber as I was hoping. I mean, it's not like the one for Skeleton Crew, because the Skeleton Crew one was like low. But this still could be really good. And what I like about this is it's people that worked with Filoni before. I think he likes to keep his friends close in that sense. I think he likes to work with the same people a lot. We've seen that many times in his career. So for a Dave Filoni show, this actually makes a lot of sense. That he'd be just bringing his friends over to work. Instead of trying to just get outside hires. You know what I mean? So
right.
Yeah. While it's not on high of a caliber, it's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? This is a Filoni pattern, that could pay off at the end of the day, because I do think he just works better with people he knows, so I think that's part of it. Now let's get to the big kahuna here, guys, because we got the biggest bomb dropped on us today. They did talk about the trailer. First of all, let's get into a couple things from that. Number one, Sabine is going to be wielding a green lightsaber and possibly a drop of the eighth brother in there, which is interesting because we're coming at a time that's after Inquisitors. So the fact that there's the eighth brother again goes back to that Roll Between Worlds thing I was talking about, where we could be seeing, people coming out of time from different eras. That's pretty fascinating to me. So I'm really curious on that, of course. And then the big reveal is we did get confirmation that Lars Mikkelsen is going to be Grand Admiral Thrawn, and Lars voiced him in Clone Wars and not Clone Wars, Rebels. And so this is a perfect choice, obviously, to play Thrawn. I mean, he's already done it in animation form, and I'm pretty sure he's going to bring it to live action very, very well. You look at the swagger and that walk that we got to see in the trailer that went to the public. I mean, you can just tell he's got it, man. And there's no doubt in my mind he's going to play this character extremely well. The voice he brings is, obviously, we already know, very menacing, and he could bring that. I love that Filoni compared him to like Moriarty from Sherlock Holmes, always outsmarting the enemy. And that's Thrawn, man. He's always thinking 5 steps ahead of the enemy. But this is super exciting. Jose, what do you think of Lars kind of coming back here to reprise the role? I think this is huge.
Yeah, I think honestly, there's no one else that could have done it. Honestly, I feel like it had to be Lars Mikkelsen.
For sure.
Just because in Rebels, he made Thrawn so, like menacing and scary and sending chills down our backs, that he's going to be able to bring it to live action for sure, just because he has done it already in Rebels. That it only makes sense that he's going to be Thrawn in live action, because I mean, just the shot of his the head that we got from the teaser trailer, I mean, even just that was menacing enough. And now that he's actually going to be playing Thrawn, I'm really excited because I think he's going to do it justice.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I think like hearing more and more about this and just the kind of tone and style they're going for, again, like having this sort of, it's going to feel very natural, I think, to like the George Lucas Star Wars movies, man. I really do. And I think that it's going to be kind of cool to have something with like Star Wars with like real nuance again, man. It's been a little bit since we've had that with like this nuance that like Dave Filoni understands so well. And with all these different characters coming in, and again, I kind of told you my biggest fear, because Filoni does have this sort of tendency to make each episode its own story about its own characters. I don't really want that for this one. I do want the characters to feel a bit interchangeable between episodes, and by that I really just mean I don't want an episode to feel like, well, this is the Hera episode, this is the Sabine episode, this is the Thrawn one. I want every episode to feel like the characters are, they could be in any episode. I want to feel like that from the very beginning almost. So with a little bit of that Filoni flair at the same time. Like the stories could be separate, you know what I mean? But I want them to connect at the same time, you know what I mean? Like I want it to feel like one big connected thing. And in Rebels, let's be real, Rebels was the one show where it didn't feel like each episode was so individualized. That was the one he did where it did feel the most connected. So I feel like he's just going to carry that forward here, and I'm hoping that's 100% what he's going to do. So to me, it just sounds all pretty amazing. I'm more than excited about this. I can't even come up with a word, to express how I'm feeling about the show, but I'm anticipating it, big time. And it's coming here in August. I can't wait. I think this is again, I'm going to reiterate what I said yesterday. This is a win for Star Wars this weekend. I think that they got some pretty big wins here, and they just keep winning this weekend. This is their weekend.
They're not taking any L's.
No, they're not taking any L's this weekend, and it really does show. I hope that the powers that be are reeling it in a little bit and and starting to tighten things up. You know, let's hope so, because this is all we've been really asking for. You know, tighten it up. You know, get us some projects that we could be excited for consistently, you know, and don't give us anything that's mediocre anymore. I don't think they can afford anything subpar at this point. And I'm hoping that this is as great as that trailer promises, you know. So that's all I would have to say on it, man. All right, guys, look, that's really it, though. We're done with this Ahsoka panel discussion. Let us know what you guys think of all the updates, the news. I think it's all exciting. And before we get out of here, please do us a favor. Would you do us a huge favor by hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section below, share us with your friends, hit the bell for notifications. Once again, I'm Don Martino, and this has been Mr. Jose Espinel, and we will talk to you guys later.